Hi Seth, wanted to make a quick reflection video for task 11. In this video, three things. We're looking at the interval of time between the pre-test and the post-test. We're looking at the instruction and practice in between, and then how the pre-test and the post-test are sensitive to learning. So in regard to the time intervals, uh, the software that we use, Geometrics, it comes with an estimated time of how long it should take to complete different tasks. And so what I do is I create for the students benchmarks. So they should, for example, domain for pre-test on Tuesday, then they would do their exercise labs or whatever type of learning, which I'll get to next, and then a post-assessment. So they have a couple of days for learning activities. Some of those learning activities are timed, how long it should take. So that's how I determine the amount of time between pre-test and post-test. The domain 5, the activities was they're a little shorter, and so take less time. That's how I determine how much the interval between the pre and the post. Okay, so I use the resources that are given us based on the types of instruction. So the instruction that happens, they take a pre-test, and then they would go back. There are videos that they can watch, and walks through those targets of learning targets. So they would then take an exercise lab, which walks them through, gives them a task that's associated with a learning target. It gives them a step one, step two, and they get to practice. So they can watch it with the video. They can practice with the exercise lab also. So, and it just kicked me out. Okay. So in addition to those resources, I also encourage students to collaborate. So we post on the wall, keep track of when they've finished a post assessment. So if they want to ask someone who has already completed a post assessment for a domain, and they're in the middle of that domain, they have questions, they know who they could ask. So I do encourage them to help each other. We also have a classroom norm that they can ask any clarifying question at any time. And so, as their facilitator, when they are using the tools that we have to work through the different learning targets, they can always ask me, and of course, I help give them. I can clarify their question. So, what I'm trying to do is to help them learn to ask the right question. So that's kind of the focus is, hey, I don't get it. I don't understand, Mr. G. That doesn't work, right? So they have to form their question where I can give them an answer. Mr. G, I don't understand what this word means. Okay, well then we would work forward from that. So those are some of the types of instruction and tools that they have in between. How the pre and the post test are sensitive to student learning is uh, that it does measure the specific learning targets that are taught and that are expected for them to know. So they know right up front, they can click on their proficiency scale, they know what targets they are learning for this domain, and then the pre-test and the post-test both have those clearly marked. So um, I will say that there were some students who had zeros on their pre-test. These are students that did not utilize that seriously. It's also timed. So when I see that they spent 2 minutes on a pre-test, that tells me they did not even read them. So they didn't read the questions. So I did not use those for my low scores. Um, those students um, just did not take that seriously. So I had to I found that in the process of explaining all this procedure of pre-test, post-test, I had to go back and reteach that. So